Hello there, Misfits. This is Kate.
And this is Kevin.
Welcome to Horrorwood. We made it. We are at the final part
Oh my God, this is much anticipated.
of the Hollywood Ripper series. Sorry, it was a 4-parter. I was going to make a little joke to be like, we are at part 4 of 5, but
You're like of 17. I found so much more.
I mean, this could easily be that long.
Sure.
But I've been working on this for a long ass time and I'm ready to move on. But I think I've got everything that's in this part is going to give you a full story. So
Great.
I'm not
Love.
leaving things out.
Okay.
But before we begin, we have 2 new Patronians to shout out. First off, Lillian Lee.
Lillian Lee.
Woo, woo, thank you so much. Lillian signed up as a yearly Misfit Murderino
Whoa.
on Patreon. So thank you, Lillian. That means a ton to us.
Love. And then we've got John Wyman.
Who also signed up for a year.
Oh my God, these yearly subscribes.
Obsessed.
Love you guys. Love you, John. Love you, Lillian.
Thank you guys so much. We really a tree. Oh, I don't know what that was. We really appreciate your support. And while we're doing shout outs, I do want to shout out a Spotify listener,
Oh.
Anna. Anna, I think her last name is Clancy, but don't quote me on that because I
Sure.
don't have it in front of me. But Anna left a comment that sometimes when our ads play, or like ads play in the middle of our episodes, it'll come in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah.
We've got it set to where it's automated through our hosting site. So supposedly they find the most natural breaks and that's where they put in the ads. But apparently that's not what's happening because she said it can be really jarring when like we're in the middle of a sentence and all of a sudden it's like whatever ad comes up. We can change this.
Oh,
this
wow.
is fixable. So from now on, not on this episode probably because it just won't be on this episode.
Sure.
But starting with the next one, ideally, hopefully, it will all be in a natural break so that you won't have some like crazy split where all of a sudden you're like, wait, who's talking now?
What's going on? Oh my God.
I love that kind of feedback. So Anna, truly thank you so, so much because I was not aware that was happening because I don't listen to the episodes once they're published. Like
I do sometimes.
Well-
and I've heard it happen. Yeah.
I've listened to it during the edit. So, and then I've been there in the recording. I don't need a third listen.
You don't. No, you're good. You can stop listening.
So I was not aware of that. So thank you, Anna, so much. And apologies that you guys have been having to listen to weird ad breaks. We also have another Spotify listener
Whoa.
who I'm actually going to have to pull this up because I want to like quote them for real, who responded about your UFO story.
Oh,
Let me find it real quick.
I forgot I talked about that.
Yeah. So last week we talked about like, have you ever seen a misfit tail? What?
I have. They come in our email.
Have you ever seen, wowzers, have you ever seen a UFO? And that was the topic for our misfit tales.
Tale.
Yikes. Okay. And then Kevin shared a story about seeing what he can't describe as anything other than
A UFO.
Yeah, because what the heck was that? So this is from Daniel on Spotify. He says, Kevin, you saw a TREB, TR3B,
Oh.
a reverse engineered anti-gravitical vessel made by USA with German tech. Hold on, I want to look up
A TREB?
TR3B because I'm like, what is that? The TR3B Black Manta is a rumored top secret U.S. tactical reconnaissance aircraft often associated with Black Triangle UFO sightings. Purportedly developed through a special access program, it is described as a silent, triangular craft using reverse-engineered anti-gravity technology or advanced electromagnetic drives, according to Google.
Whoa. So that's why it was moving weird.
So you saw something crazy.
A Treb. A
Or
TR3B.
A TR3B Black Manta.
Thanks, Daniel. I'm now going to go on a huge deep dive
I know you are.
when I get home.
Reddit.
Reddit.
Who has seen
Let
a
me see the
TR3B?
threads.
So yeah, that's crazy. Thanks, Daniel. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, we should pick a misfit topic for today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought of one too. Oh, I know what it was. I had a demon experience, I think, last night.
What, Kate?
Okay, so I'm lying in bed trying to go to sleep, and like the middle of my back hurt. Like I was like laying on a tag or something, you know what I mean? And so I'm like adjusting my shirt and like repositioning. And eventually I fell asleep, but I was like, why does that hurt? This morning it was like burning. And I looked in the mirror and I lifted the back of my shirt up. I'm not kidding. 3 scratches down the center of my back.
Yep. Ooh.
I didn't do it.
Sure. A demon did.
I think
Kate,
so.
that's a sign of like demonic. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it was 3 and I was like, what? So then this morning I was telling Matt, I was like, just so you know, like, I think I got scratched by a demon last night. Like, you should probably know that one might be lurking in the house. He was like, cool. Thanks for letting me know. And I said, but oddly, I don't even feel it right now. But now as we're sitting here,
You feel it?
it's burning.
Oh my God.
Like, it's so painful.
Okay, we need to get some sage up here.
I haven't even been talking about demons, I don't think.
Well, we've talked about them. Maybe it just took a while for them to get enough power to do that.
They were too busy haunting other people,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
all right, let's get to that bitch now.
They're like, Ka.
So that's our misfit tale topic. Have you
Demons.
ever been scratched by a demon or had any kind of demon or demonic encounter that you think in any capacity, however you want to interpret that?
Okay, I like that tale.
Send that tale to horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com and we'll read it on the air.
Great.
On the air. Is this what this is?
Yeah,
I guess
we're
so.
on the air.
All right. We're on the air and we're going to get into this episode.
Okay.
It's kind of a long one.
Mm-hmm.
It is the conclusion for realsies. This is the final part of the Hollywood Ripper saga. If you've listened to all of them up to this point, thank you so much. And also thank you for all your nice comments that you've been leaving on these episodes. I've seen them all. It means a lot to me. I haven't been able to respond to each one just yet, but I plan to. But it truly means a lot because I have worked so hard on these and I've spent a good month and a half with this. So I'm just glad to know that like all you folks are into it and are listening because a lot of people drop off after part 1 and then even more drop off after part 2. So if you're here right now, you rock. Thank you.
You're a real one.
Content warning, though, on this episode for discussions of alleged child abuse, sexual assault, and animal torture. Want to say that right at the top.
Fucking damn it.
Yeah, this one's a lot. Let's do a brief recap of where we left things off at the end of part 3.
Got it.
So things to Gargiulo cutting himself during his attack on Michelle Murphy. His wrist drip, drip, drip that blood all the way down those stairs.
Woo!
And the lead investigator, Sergeant Rich Lewis, was like, oh my God, thank you so much for all of this DNA evidence. Lewis also remembered Maria Bruno's case from 3 years prior. Thought the two might be connected. Turns out they sure were. And all the lead detectives from all the different known cases, Ashley Ellerin, Trisha Pacaccio, Maria Bruno, and Michelle Murphy, all start working together.
Good.
In 2008, Gargiulo was charged with attempted murder of Michelle Murphy and the murders of Maria Bruno and Ashley Ellerin, but not Trisha Pacaccio's, despite that it was the DNA found on Trisha's fingernails that led to the charges in those other 3 cases. As I mentioned at the end of part 3, an episode of a TV show helped break her case wide open. And I realized afterwards that I made it sound more juicy than it is. I mean, it is juicy. In my opinion anyway, but it's not like prosecutors were sitting around watching Parks and Rec and they had some epiphany. Maureen Maher is one of the hosts of 48 Hours on CBS. And she went to school in Chicago. She started her broadcasting career here. So she took a special interest in Trisha Paccaccio's case. Beginning in 2008, when Gargiulo was arrested in LA, Maureen and her colleague Doug Longini began communicating with the Paccaccio family. But Trisha's parents, Rick and Diane, were hesitant about speaking with them about the case because they were frustrated. They still had a lot of anger over how the Cook County State's Attorney's Office had neglected to act even after the DNA matched to Gargiulo. And they were, of course, still grieving their daughter. They didn't feel they could put a lot of trust in these reporters from 48 Hours because it had been 15 years since Trisha was killed, and her case wasn't any further along than it was in 1993. So what were these TV people going to do?
Right.
It took Maureen and Doug a couple of years of getting to know the Paccaccios before they earned their trust. In 2010, they sat down with Rick and Diane at their home in Glenview, Illinois. Diane expressed her frustration with Cook County, saying, "My daughter's death is not going to be a cold case. We know who killed her." Rick said, "I just might go to the county building and carry a sign around until I get justice for my daughter." And that's the moment Doug suggested that an episode of 48 Hours on Trisha's case and Gargiulo's pending trial in LA would be a much bigger sign. The Paccaccios agreed. So the following year, in May of 2011, 48 Hours aired the episode titled The Boy Next Door. Isn't that
That's an eerie title.
Fuck yeah. A man in upstate New York just happened to catch the episode, which showed the mugshot of Gargiulo, an old friend of his.
Oh.
His name was Timur Leary. Timur then texted another friend, Anthony DiLorenzo, and the text read, "Did you know that Mike's a serial killer?"
Oh my God.
Imagine getting that text.
Oh, hey.
By the way.
Yeah, have you heard the news?
The word on the street
the word?
is that guy we hung out with all the time, turns out he murdered a bunch of people.
Ooh.
So Timur's like, "Dude, turn on your TV." Anthony and Timur weren't the most upstanding citizens at the time, shall we say. They had both been in and out of jail, but they were both fathers. And when they saw the pain on Rick Paccaccio's face as he talked about Trisha, the guys were like, "We have to tell someone what we know."
Yes.
The morning after the episode aired, because it comes on at like 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturday nights.
Oh, it is a late show.
Sunday morning, Timur contacted CBS and told him he had crucial information about Trisha's murder.
Wow.
CBS put him in contact with Detective Lou Sala, the lead investigator on Trisha's case.
Yes.
And Cook County flew Timur and Anthony to Chicago so they could get their statements.
Whoa.
Yeah. Timur and Anthony told Detective Sala that back in the early 2000s, they, along with Gargiulo, were driving down Sunset Boulevard when Gargiulo randomly asks, "Hey, you guys ever kill anybody?" "I have."
What? This man is ridiculous.
And Timur and Anthony were like, "Oh, shut up. Come on." Because he was always full of shit. Like he was always telling these wild tales.
Oh.
So they didn't believe him. They were just like, "Okay, here he goes again."
Right. Now I'm remembering from the first episode.
Gargiulo continued, and this is a quote. He said, "Yeah, I buried a bitch." And the guys are still like, "Dude, shut the fuck up. Like, whatever." And Gargiulo says, "No, actually, I left the bitch on the steps for dead."
Oh my God.
Which, if you remember.
He did.
Exactly. That's where Trisha was found.
This guy is such a fucking douche.
He is so evil. So let's go back to Glenview, Illinois, where it all began. Michael Thomas Gargiulo was born on February 15th, 1976, and grew up, as we already know, in Glenview, just 5 houses down from the Paccaccios.
Road trip. Just kidding. We shouldn't go.
I don't want to go there. Actually, we could go there.
I wouldn't mind a day in Glenview.
Glenview's really nice.
It's pretty. Just go to Glenview. Check it out.
Just check it out.
We're going to walk around the streets with those spy glasses. Monocles. And our little notepads.
Yes.
I used to love Mary-Kate and Ashley detective shows.
Oh, yeah. Like their little movies.
Yeah. And I bought like the little backpack and I had my little spy kit. It was also the same year as Harriet the Spy.
Okay.
I was a detective.
Kevin is having
I was
moments.
like walking up and down the street, like looking at people's houses and like writing notes.
Really?
Yes.
If I were in one of those houses and I saw some strange kid just staring at my house and then jotting things down, I might need to alert someone.
That's why that lady sprayed the
grog. I still think about that.
That fucking bitch.
Wow.
Anyway, it's the morning.
Any hoops. Yeah, Kevin is here it's 10:40 a.m.
I know that sounds late in the morning to everybody, but know that I had to work until midnight.
Kevin worked super late last night.
And then I couldn't sleep.
And so he made it here. I'm proud that you're here.
Thank you
for showing up here in the morning. All right. He was the fifth of 7 children. He had 3 sisters and 3 brothers. According to testimony given by psychologist Dr. Deanne Castellano, Gargiulo grew up in a troubled household. She conducted interviews with Gargiulo's father and 5 of his 6 siblings. The oldest one, she was already out of the house by the time he came along, so she didn't interview her.
Got it.
Based on her conversations with them, Dr. Castellano testified Gargiulo was a, quote, needy, clingy, whiny, emotional child. She said that Eugene, Gargiulo's father, considered Michael to be weak and a, quote, sissy boy because he needed a lot of attention. With 7 kids, I imagine they all felt like they needed more attention.
I'm sure. And also, I mean, sissy, come on.
Yeah.
I know he's a fucking piece of shit, but
Gargiulo is?
Well, yeah. I mean, but when you're a kid, come on.
Dr. Castellano testified that Gargiulo was a frightened little boy and at night would often wander into his parents' bedroom and insist on sleeping with them because he was scared. I don't think that's uncommon.
I did that all the time.
Absolutely. If a little kid has a bad dream, what do? They're going to run to their parents' bedroom.
And then when they lock you out, it's really sad.
Well, that's something we can unpack off air.
I don't need to talk about it.
Castellano stated that beginning when Gargiulo was a toddler, his mother would hog-tie him.
No.
With one of his father's ties and lock him in a closet in the basement because he was, quote, just too uncontrollable. He had ADHD and was a very active toddler.
Oh, that's abuse.
I don't know that Gargiulo was ever actually diagnosed with ADHD. This is what Castellano is testifying to based on what Gargiulo's family told her. Haven't found in any report that he was ever diagnosed with ADHD. So just want to say that.
Okay.
The family would leave Gargiulo locked in the closet for up to 2 to 3 days with no food or water.
No.
A toddler.
No.
If a toddler goes without water for 3 days, he is going to be near death.
Yeah.
And he's hogtied in a dark closet.
That's terrifying.
This abuse isn't happening with any of the other siblings.
Really?
Just him. Yeah. Castellano also stated that when the family would decide it was time to let Gargiulo out of the closet, his siblings, and particularly his older brother Kenny, would put on a scary Halloween mask and fling open the door just to scare him, at which point Gargiulo would pee and or poop his pants, which he would have already done anyway if he was in there for 3 fucking days.
Jesus Christ.
The older siblings thought it was funny to scare him like this, a 2-year-old. Castellano states that the family freely admitted to all of this in her conversations with them, which seems a little weird.
That's that awkward thing where like people are like looking back on things they've done and they're like, oh, it was all in good fun.
Maybe.
Ugh.
As Gargiulo got a little older, starting around age 6, his mom couldn't restrain him long enough to get him tied up, so the job fell to his older brother, Kenny. So Kenny becomes the quote-unquote disciplinarian.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny is the 3rd oldest. There are 2 sisters older than him. As if all of that weren't horrific enough, if Gargiulo would do something like try and grab a cookie off the counter, his mom and brother would hold his hand over the flames of their gas stove until they were burned and blistered.
That's disgusting.
By the time Gargiulo was around 8 years old, tying him up and locking him in a closet didn't work anymore because he'd figured out how to undo the tie and pick the lock on the door to get out. So that's when older brother Kenny decided on a new form of quote-unquote discipline. Rather than tie Gargiulo up in a closet, he took him outside and tied him to a tree stump. And here comes the animal abuse / torture. So it's real bad. If you don't want to hear it, skip ahead like 30 seconds. No, Kevin, you can't take your headphones off. Kevin's trying to run away. Anyway. That's true. Duh. So Leo, you put headphones on. I'm silent otherwise.
It'd be amazing.
Okay, so we said skip ahead 30 seconds and then we talked. So if you're back, go ahead and skip ahead another 30 seconds.
From here.
The family knew that Michael loved animals. He'd get very emotional over animals. Like he just absolutely loved them. So Kenny would take small animals, gerbils, mice, cats, whatever he could get his hands on, light a firework, and stick it up the animal's butt and laugh as the animal was blown to smithereens. The other siblings thought this was hilarious.
This is a family of fucking psychopaths. This is like, these kids, what the fuck is wrong with them? That they're like delighting in this behavior of torturing their brother, but also like blowing animals up.
And again, this is what Dr. Castellano is stating in her testimony. When Gargiulo was 10 years old, his father and brother took him to the hospital because he'd been running a temperature of 103.5 for like 5 days. And Dr. Castellano stated that Gargiulo was in a state of delirium at that time. He didn't recognize his dad. He didn't recognize Kenny. Doctors initially thought he had encephalitis or inflammation of the brain, but tests ruled that out. This is all in Gargiulo's medical records. So they brought in a pediatric neurologist who concluded Gargiulo's issues were due to emotional distress, and he recommended Gargiulo be referred for psychotherapy. Dr. Castellano stated in her testimony that during this time, one of Gargiulo's sisters was being hospitalized for an eating disorder, and that Kenny, the older brother, was hospitalized at age 16 and diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and treated with electric shock therapy.
Fuck.
Castellano also stated that Eugene, the father, told her that, in fact, all of Michael's siblings had been diagnosed with mental illnesses and had been admitted to psychiatric facilities at various times. Gargiulo never went to psychotherapy, and a couple of years later, when he was 12, he was back in the hospital with a similar episode to the one he had when he was 10. He also suffered from night terrors, and he would sleepwalk. Dr. Castellano stated that when Gargiulo was 13, Kenny tied him to a chair and forced him to watch torture porn, basically films that depicted violent sexual behavior towards women. Castellano stated it was Kenny's way of, quote, making his little brother into a man.
Ooh.
Eugene, Gargiulo's dad, told Castellano that he, Eugene, had a bad temper and had hit Gargiulo on the head once with a baseball bat and another time with a golf club. He just openly admits this to this psychologist. According to his siblings, Gargiulo was, quote, the family whipping boy.
Oh.
So he's definitely got some stuff going on at home.
Yeah, I'd say.
And at school, things weren't any better.
Okay.
He was in special ed for most of his schooling, not because of a learning disability or a physical disability. He was in there for behavioral issues.
Okay.
According to one of his school reports, Gargiulo, quote, tended to be angry and engaged in power struggles with adults, which, if you've been abused basically since you were born, that makes a lot of sense. His teacher said he could get good grades when he wanted to, but he had problems with authority and was acting out both verbally and physically. Both teachers and students described him as a little off the wall. Scott Olson, who was friends with Gargiulo when they were teenagers, they played in a band together, said, quote, there were two sides to Michael Gargiulo. One side was an awkward, insecure teen. The other side of Mike was, well, he had what I called a crazy switch, where if he really wanted something, he was going to get it one way or another. He flipped a switch and all emotions gone.
Ooh,
So creepy.
that's really scary.
As Gargiulo grew up, he got bigger and stronger. He played baseball and football, which is how he knew Trisha's little brother, Doug.
Right.
Doug and Gargiulo were the same grade and on the football team together. Doug said Gargiulo was, quote, athletic but impulsive, someone with a bad temper who would suddenly turn violent and savagely beat up classmates without provocation. And it wasn't long before Gargiulo turned his violent behavior towards his own family. He once beat up his little brother David in front of his friend just because. He attacked his older sister Melissa, and he threw his father Eugene through a window.
Whoa.
He was never charged for any of those attacks. The family never reported it. Then in 1993, at age 17, his violent behavior escalated to murder when he killed 18-year-old Trisha Boccaccio.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just read this last week. That night of the road rally / scavenger hunt that Trisha attended, Gargiulo had given Doug and another friend a ride to the movies.
Oh.
He dropped Doug and the other guy off at the movie theater, went to the Boccaccio's house where he hid in the bushes until Trisha arrived home, and then he stabbed her to death.
Jesus Christ.
The next morning, after Rick found his daughter and all the neighbors came out and gathered around, Gargiulo was one of those neighbors in the crowd, pretending to be shocked at what had happened. He's like, oh my God, this is crazy. And he sees his so-called friend, Doug, Trisha's brother, out there having the most traumatic experience of his life, knowing full well he caused it.
Right.
And he's just standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Despite being one of the most vile creatures on the planet, Gargiulo had no problem attracting the opposite sex. He was tall, around 6'2", very fit. He went to the gym. He practiced martial arts. He boxed. He was incredibly strong.
Wow.
And he knew how to turn on the charm when it suited him.
Sure.
He's had a lot of girlfriends throughout his life, but wouldn't call him boyfriend of the year anytime soon. In 1995, after his relationship with a girl he'd been dating ended, the two of them met up, not to get back together or anything. It was just meant to be a casual, friendly visit. But according to this female, who was 17 at the time, and who later testified to this at Gargiulo's trial in LA, during that casual visit, Gargiulo ambushed her, handcuffed her, and then raped her. She said, quote, I was terrified. I didn't even want to move. I was petrified. I became very scared of relationships. I didn't trust people. I had a hard time sleeping. To this day, I'm constantly locking doors. I don't like to be left alone at all.
Yeah.
So he's just like a reign of terror that just destroys everything in his path.
Tornado.
In February of 1996, while still living in Illinois, he broke into multiple cars and stole a cell phone along with a bag containing a video camera. He got away, but not before several witnesses saw him. So police knew who they were looking for, but they just couldn't find him.
Sure.
The following month, he walked into the police station himself to complain, saying, I have been followed repeatedly by various police agencies. This is getting out of control. You need to leave me alone.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to say because the camera didn't work or something.
I would not shock me if it
I
did.
stole doesn't work.
Somebody fix this.
Police?
And the police were like, oh, hey there. We've actually been looking for you. Thanks for making this job so much easier. And they placed him under arrest.
There we go. Yep.
From what I can tell, he sat in jail for more than a year until May 1997, when he made a written confession that he'd broken into the vehicles and stolen the items. He posted bond and pled guilty, so he was out of jail. And that same month, May of 1997, he was involved in a battery incident in the parking lot of Glenbrook South High School, which is where he had attended years before. Because by 1997, he's 21 at this point. The Journal on Topics media group, which published this information about these crimes, sent a Freedom of Information Act request to the Glenview Police Department, but what they received back was 38 pages of mostly redacted documents. He was arrested for the battery incident, but I don't have any other details about it.
Okay.
The fall of 1998 is when Gargiulo showed up at the Boccaccio's door asking to speak to Rick.
Right, because we thought that he was going to confess then.
Yeah. And this is after, if you remember, this is after he had sent Rick and Diane a series of gifts, like a
That's
lily,
right.
a gift certificate to a restaurant, a T-shirt.
I do remember that, yeah.
Because that's going to smooth everything over.
Right. Here's a tea.
And he sat at their kitchen table for over an hour waiting for Rick to come home. And when he walked in, they said that Gargiulo looked like he was about to say something, but before he could, his dad and one of his sisters came in, just like barged through the door. They don't knock. They come in, they grab him. They say, Michael, we have to leave.
That's so wild to me.
It's cause for concern.
Do we know any more about that situation? Because, like, they had to know that he was there.
Well, Rick and Diane believe he was about to confess to killing Trisha before the family members came in. It's impossible to know.
Yeah.
He could have been about to blame her murder on that other guy, Eric Agazim, the guy he told the police had done it.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I do believe his family knew something and were afraid he might say something that could incriminate himself, and they rushed in to prevent that. I think if Eugene and whichever sister it was weren't already 100% certain he was Trisha's killer, there's no doubt in my mind they at least strongly suspected him.
Sure.
Gargiulo had already attacked them.
Yeah.
Threw the dad through the window, attacked his sister. And given how close they lived to the Piccaccio house, Gargiulo's family had to have their suspicions. I wouldn't be surprised if Gargiulo had even confessed to them that he had killed Trisha.
Yeah, you're probably right, because he's just telling random people.
Yeah.
Or not
So,
random people,
not random,
people
but
he
like,
knows that aren't his family.
Yeah, later down the road he does.
Right.
But at that time, it would not surprise me if he said something to them.
Well, and he's not being subtle in the slightest. Like, it makes me think that there's a part of him that, like, wants people to know.
Oh, yeah. He has a hard time keeping his mouth shut.
Yeah.
Like walking into the police station and complaining that various agencies are following him when he knows full well he's the one that's wanted for burglary and theft. Oh, and like he filed, like how he filed that traffic incident saying that his car was saying that someone almost hit his dog with a car.
Yeah. What was that?
So he files that report. So he likes to complain to the police and he likes to say a lot of things, but it's hard to know where the truth lies.
I have no clue.
Pretty much immediately after the incident where his family dragged him out of the Piccaccio's house, Gargiulo moved to LA. He followed his older brother, Kenny, who had also moved out there. And according to reports, Kenny was a pretty decent boxer and had dreams of doing that professionally. So that's why he moved.
Kenny was the one blowing up animals, right?
According to Dr. Castellano. Yeah.
I don't like either of them.
At the time of his move, Gargiulo had been dating a girl named Allison back in Illinois, and she actually moved to LA to be with him. The two of them moved into the apartment that was just 400 feet from the house Ashley Ellerin would eventually move into. Gargiulo didn't have any real plans about what to do with his life. One day he was just like, I know, I'll be an actor and a model.
No.
Because that's how it works. Super easy.
Oh my God.
He even went as far as to have professional headshots taken. They're
are
online.
those out there?
Oh, yeah, they're online. He looks so scary. But here's the thing. At that time, he was actually a pretty attractive guy, according to what some would deem traditional attractiveness, if you will. Like,
sure.
There are photos where he almost looks like Ashton Kutcher a little bit.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So he started out as a pretty good looking kid. When I do the graphic for this one, I'm going to see if I can do half where he was like a young, good looking kid. It's from a high school yearbook of the picture I'm thinking of using. And then now. How hatred and evil will age you is wild.
He's still alive.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
He's 50.
Oh, that's not that old.
Sure isn't.
Whoa.
Yeah, he just turned 50 last month. All right, so in 1999, he somehow managed to get cast in the role of a boxer named Carlos in a film called Boxing's Been Good to Me. And it's interesting because, yes, he boxed, but according to like the detectives, they all said Kenny was really the boxer.
Yeah.
And that Gargiulo was just kind of like a wannabe.
So he acted like one.
Exactly. Now, this was a student film for filmmaker Temple Brown, who at the time was studying at USC Film School. A lot of actors get their start doing student films, and USC's film school is renowned. And this film was for Temple Brown's graduate thesis project.
Oh, wow.
I found this film online.
Oh, my God.
It's on YouTube. It's a short film. It's like 15 minutes. Gargiulo is only in one scene, and he doesn't have any lines. It's just him in a boxing match with the main character. So he punches this other guy for a few seconds. He wins the match, and that's the end of his scene and the end of his acting career. He never booked anything after that.
Boxing's been good to me.
Look it up. Temple Brown said, quote, "I think he was perfect for that part as far as this movie goes. He looked it and he performed it well." But Brown went on to say that when the camera stopped rolling, there was something odd about Gargiulo. He said, quote, "He was withdrawn, maybe somewhat shy even, very quiet and kept to himself, didn't really talk a whole lot." So you got to watch out for those quiet ones.
Yeah.
Despite it being a very small role, it was enough for Gargiulo to tell people he met that he was in the movies, gonna be a star.
I'm a star.
That same year, 1999, he got a job as a bouncer at the Rainbow Bar and Grill on the Sunset Strip.
Ooh, the Rainbow Bar and Grill, you say?
I do say.
Have you been?
No. I'm not even sure if it's still there.
Probably not. I like the name.
But it was there that he met and worked with two other bouncers, Timur Leary and Anthony DiLorenzo.
Hey.
According to Timur and Anthony, Gargiulo always had girlfriends and girls chasing him. They said all the waitresses at the Rainbow had a crush on him. Yikes. Shortly after getting hired at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, he was fired from the Rainbow Bar and Grill for punching a customer. So he's doing great.
Yeah, amaze.
The following year, 2000, he moved on to work as a heating and air conditioning man, Mike the Furnace Man. While still with his girlfriend Allison from Illinois, he began cheating on her with a woman named Velma Carrillo, who he met in an AOL chat room.
AOL!
That is so 2000.
Oh my God. I loved AIM. Were you on AIM, Kate?
Of course I was.
I can't even remember my screen names.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think one was like Kevy Blue.
Kevy Blue.
Weird. It's because I loved Pepsi Blue when it came out.
What is Pepsi Blue?
Oh my God. It was a blue Pepsi. Like
the color of the liquid was blue?
Yeah, it was blue. I think it was
Ew.
like berry flavored maybe. It was so good.
Sounds disgusting.
It was not disgusting. It was...
So adamant about that.
Delicious.
And was discontinued, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's my doggy. This is why I hate when Mike leaves when we're recording, because I need someone to like wrangle
You
her.
said Mike instead of Matt.
Oh, that's so scary.
You need to finish this case, Kate.
I gotta get out of this.
You need to get out of this. It's taking over.
Oh, dear. All right. To win Velma over, he told her he had come to California to train as an Olympic boxer.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool, man.
He also informed her he was studying forensics. What he was actually doing was watching America's Most Wanted and looking up info on forensics online. He never actually studied forensics in the sense that like he went to school for it.
I mean, if I binge like 5 or 6 forensic files in one go.
You're an expert.
Expert.
Yep.
Let me test that DNA.
We need a shirt that's just like, let me test that DNA.
Ah.
He even told Velma that he left Illinois due to a murder he didn't commit. See, he keeps bringing it up to people.
Help himself.
He cannot keep his mouth shut. Everything he says is a lie, but some of his stories do have a grain of truth to them.
Sure.
He would sometimes tell people upon meeting them that he was a professional boxer, but had been electrocuted while fixing an air conditioning unit. Bad luck, man.
This is wild.
He told...
I was a boxer, but then I got electrocuted. Fuck.
This is even crazier. He told others he was a high-end plumber for celebrities and had a bunch of celebrity friends.
Oh, I bet he did. And he had a golden plunger.
Of all the professions to make up, he's going with high-end plumber for celebrities. Do celebrities reach out to specific high-end plumbers? Wouldn't you just call a plumber?
I mean, they don't have normal toilets, Kate.
Oh, right. They're gold.
Yeah,
golden
they're gold.
toilets.
Different plumbing.
The poop is golden.
Exactly. We don't know what's going on in
We
high end.
We don't. We are not
We'll never
high
know.
end. He also told people he'd been hit by a cement truck when developers were building the Kodak Theater and that he'd sued the company. None of that ever happened. He also told friends if he was ever charged with a crime, he would just quote, "Lie, lie until I die."
Ugh.
Velma eventually got pregnant
Oh,
with Gargiulo's
no.
baby. This man is a father. And Velma wasn't his only secret girlfriend. He was cheating on her and Allison with another woman. Fall of 2000 is when Ashley Ellerin moved into her house, and a few months later, Gargiulo stabbed her to death. If you remember, he quickly moved out of that apartment near Ashley's house, and authorities had a hard time tracking him down because he never put a lease or utilities in his own name. They were always in the name of a woman he was dating.
Okay.
When detectives tracked him down, he was living in West LA with a new girlfriend. And that's where they confronted him and got him to the hospital for a DNA sample. 2 months later, in February of 2003, Gargiulo began a relationship with Maria Garola. Reportedly, the same Maria Garola who is the first wife of famous Mexican singer Lupillo Rivera. His sister was singer-actress Jenny Rivera, very famous. She died in a plane crash in 2012. Just an interesting connection there. Maria had split from her husband a few years prior to meeting Gargiulo, citing domestic violence as a cause for the divorce. Maria had hired Gargiulo to fix her air conditioning unit, and she said that while he was there, he followed her around her house in his little blue surgical booties until she agreed to go on a date with him.
I hate people who do that. You know, like they force you into...
You're trapped.
You're trapped.
What
like,
do you
what
do?
else are you supposed to do? I saw a TikTok video recently of like a car salesman.
Walking around with blue surgical booties
No,
and trying to
I'm
get people to
sorry.
date him?
Kind of.
Oh.
He was like talking to this woman. She started recording it because she felt uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like trying to get her to go on a date with him. And he wouldn't like finish the car sale until she like
Ew.
agreed. But I think that video went viral and I think he might have gotten let go. I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But like, what a fucking disgusting tactic.
Well, unfortunately, it worked. The two began a relationship, and Gargiulo even moved in with her and her 4 children that she shared with Lupillo. Maria Garola is the woman I mentioned in one of the earlier parts who he punched in the face and asked for a loan. She filed the restraining order against him, claiming he was stalking her. He threatened to kill her and told her he'd get away with it because of his extensive knowledge of forensics, aka America's Most Wanted.
Yes.
It's weird, the similarities between this Maria and his next known victim, Maria Bruno. Same name, both had 4 children, both left husbands who had allegedly been abusive. It's just weird.
Weird.
September of that same year, 2003, is when the DNA results came in, matching Gargiulo to the DNA found on Trisha Paccaccio's fingernails. But Cook County refused to arrest him.
Yep.
So he continued to float freely around Southern California. He met a woman on Match.com named Grace Kwok. By the fall of 2005, he had moved in with her to a second-floor apartment unit at the Parker Apartments in El Monte. Remember, that is where Maria Bruno lived. The fact that this guy can convince these women to let him move in with them after only knowing him a short amount of time, he clearly has some kind of charm.
I mean, it's like he meets a new woman and immediately he moves in.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like that's crazy to me. There's something there.
Yeah. Gargiulo and Grace became pregnant. But their relationship was short-lived. Gargiulo beat Grace repeatedly while pregnant with his child.
Come on.
She was sick of it and moved out of the apartment and in with her parents on Thanksgiving weekend. Just a couple of days prior to her moving out, Maria Bruno had moved into the same complex. Sometime after Gargiulo killed Maria Bruno, his baby mama-to-be, Grace Kwok, was dining at a restaurant in LA, and she got up to use the restroom. And inside the women's bathroom was a flyer with Maria Bruno's picture on it, and it stated that she had been murdered in her bed at the Parker Apartments in Almonte, and that police were looking for any tips. And Grace thought, oh my God, how scary. Like, that's where I used to live. I wonder if Michael knows. She wasn't even entirely sure if he was still living in those apartments because even when they had lived together, he was rarely there. He was constantly in and out. He spent a lot of time with other women, and Grace was pretty sure he was hanging out with Velma, his first baby mama, quite a lot. So she contacts Gargiulo and she's like, hey, did you hear about the murder at our old complex? The woman lived right across the courtyard from us. And Gargiulo told her, oh, wow. Yeah, I knew her. Oh, man, she was so beautiful. I even helped her carry in her groceries once. Remember when he followed Maria in without her knowing while she was bringing in her groceries?
Oh, yeah. And he was just standing there.
Yeah. And she told him to get out and she shut the door in his face. So it goes back to those lies where there's a grain of truth. Like, oh, I helped her carry in her groceries.
Yeah.
No, you stalked her and followed her inside.
Right.
Around this same time, I don't know if it was before or after Maria's murder, Gargiulo dated a 26-year-old woman named Yadira Reyes. The two were together for 6 months, but the relationship abruptly came to an end one evening while they were on a date. That night, he forced her into the back of his work van and raped her.
No.
She begged him to stop, but he didn't.
Ugh.
Then afterwards, he just casually turned away and said, I'll drive you home. When he dropped her off, he told her, I've memorized your work schedule and I can also hurt your family if you tell anyone what happened. This was his girlfriend.
No.
That was the last time she saw him.
Good.
She didn't tell anyone what had happened, but a decade later, a picture of her with Gargiulo was discovered and was shown on the news because police were hoping to get in contact with her, but were also concerned she might perhaps be another murder victim.
Yeah.
Her aunt was the one who saw the photo on the news, and initially Yadira didn't want to come forward. She wanted to just put that whole scenario behind her, understandably.
Of course.
But her aunt talked to her and was like, you should go to the police with this. So eventually she did, and later she testified in his trial.
Thank God.
By 2008, Gargiulo was a married man.
Ew. No, sorry.
No, it's yeah,
Ew.
it was right. That's the exact description. Ew. He met his wife at the place where all true love begins, a showroom for plumbing and bathroom remodeling.
Hey, we're on to something there. Next time, let's look up when the plumbers come into town. And then I'm going to go find me a husband.
A husband. He'd be handy around the house.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
I have searched for the marriage license, can't find one, can't find any public record that he actually officially got married, but for all intents and purposes, they were living together as husband and wife. They lived with her mother at an apartment in Santa Monica, directly across the alley from Michelle Murphy's apartment.
Oh, no.
When he attacked Michelle Murphy in her bed, he was living with his wife and mother-in-law and was a father of 2.
Ack.
It's hard to even wrap my head around that.
It's so wild to me. You have this like family life and then you're just like killing
this
on the side.
monster. Well, it's like
Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy.
Oh.
They had no idea.
No.
So we know what happened that evening at Michelle's, and he was soon arrested for the attempted murder of her. About a week and a half later, investigators performed what's known as a Perkins operation. It's named after a case from 1990 that took place here in Illinois, actually. It's where an officer, or in Gargiulo's case, it was 2 officers, go undercover posing as inmates in the same cell as the perpetrator.
Yes. I've seen this on SVU.
Hey. So they attempt to see if the person, Gargiulo, will make any incriminating statements or admit to any of the murders they suspected him of. And statements made by the inmate during a Perkins operation are admissible in court. And they don't have to read him his Miranda rights because he's unaware that he's talking to a police officer.
And are you already in jail?
You already in jail, honey. Your right's been read. Gargiulo never came right out and said, I killed so-and-so, but he alluded to committing a total of 10 murders.
Wow.
Which, if true, means there are 7 he has not been charged for.
Wow.
Which is terrifying.
That's bananas.
And it also makes me think, okay, so if that is true, there are families out there waiting for answers who might never get them.
That's so crazy to me. Has anyone ever like come forward after all this?
Not that I have found.
Not that you found? Wow.
The Perkins operation came to an end when Gargiulo told the undercover officers that he was planning to escape from prison and showed them a plastic utensil he had shaved down to a point. And he said he was going to use that to stab a prison guard in the throat.
Yeah. No, that I mean, I guessed this before you even said it. He's gonna talk. Like, he's gonna say all the shit. They're like, hey, what's up, man? And he's like, so I have a shank and I'm gonna get out of here. And they're like, yeah.
He even had one of the officers stand on his shoulders to look out the bar so that he could like know where officers' cars are parked, what the parking lot looked like. And they were like, you know what? Cool. We are actually getting out of jail today. So I guess we're done here.
This is my last day.
And this is my last day as an inmate. Please don't stab our prison guard.
Yeah.
It was another 2 months before he was charged with the murders of Ashley and Maria. So when those charges came in, his defense attorney at the time, Anthony Salerno, told the media, and this is a quote, "We just found out about it this morning. Got a pile of discovery this thick and apparently more to come."
Shit.
Imagine being that defense attorney. You think you've got a case with a knife attack in which the woman survives. And then all of a sudden the DA's office is like, oh, and here's a couple of murders you'll need to defend. Not a great day at the office.
Not at all.
Gargiulo pled not guilty to all charges.
Yep.
Because of course. In an interview from prison, he said, quote, "I'm 100% innocent. Like everything good about me and the fair person that I am and everything is not even out there. And that's just wrong."
There's nothing
There's nothing good.
There's nothing good about you, sweetheart.
He was charged with Trisha's murder in 2011 thanks to the information Team Leary and Anthony DiLorenzo provided, but the trial for that couldn't come until he'd been tried in LA for the California crimes.
Got it. And he was arrested on the DNA evidence, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So he was arrested for Michelle's attack because he cut his wrist.
Correct. Yeah.
And that blood was everywhere.
Okay.
And then they matched it to the DNA found on Trisha.
Okay, thanks for that quick.
Yeah, absolutely. It was 11 years before his LA trial got underway.
Why?
Because Gargiulo kept playing the game of firing his attorneys, hiring new attorneys, firing them, representing himself for a while.
I was going to say they
all
do that
they
shit.
They all think they can do that. Then hiring new attorneys and on and on and on.
11 fucking years.
11 years.
But he's in jail that whole time, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's in jail.
Cool.
Finally, the trial got underway in May of 2019.
That's recent. Wait.
No, it's pretty recent.
It is recent. I get weird around like the late teens.
Well, because it feels like everything was last week.
I
Like
know,
if
right?
someone says like 2012, I'm like, oh, so a couple months ago?
Yeah, that's what I feel like too. And then I'm like, no, that's 14 years ago.
Damn. Yeah, Matt and I were just talking. He mentioned something. He was like, did you know that in 2029, XYZ, I don't remember what he said. And I was like, did you know that in 2029, we will have lived in our place for 10 years?
Whoa.
Right? And he was like, that's wild.
It's like when we went through COVID and lost like 2.5 years.
Yeah, because I feel like we've been here like 3 years.
Yeah.
Tops.
I do too. To me, you haven't been here that long.
Yeah. Time is weird.
I can't.
Yeah. So all of the time that, they're waiting for this trial, the families of all these victims are waiting for this trial. And of course, Trisha's case can't go until the LA trial is done. So they're waiting even longer. It's just a mess. The prosecution planned to show that Gargiulo had a specific pattern and a specific victim profile. He'd move to a neighborhood, zero in on a target, always a young, attractive female. Then he would stalk them, learn their schedules, their habits, and wait for the opportunity to attack them in their own homes when they were alone.
Yes.
Prosecutor Dan Aikman gave him the nickname the boy next door killer because of how close he lived to his victims.
Okay.
Not because he's like, oh, you're the boy next door. No, because he was so close to them
Golly.
geographically.
Right. Golly gee, mister.
Aikman also described Gargiulo as a serial sexual thrill killer.
Oh.
I had to look into this because I wasn't quite sure what that meant.
Can you say that again?
A serial sexual thrill killer.
Serial sexual thrill killer.
Yes.
Meaning he gets a sexual thrill from killing?
Yes. There were no sexual assaults in the attacks on Trisha, Ashley, Maria, or Michelle. We now know that he did sexually assault the women he dated,
say,
however.
he is a rapist too.
But for those that he murdered and attempted to murder, the sexual arousal came from the stabbing.
Oh.
Which is why there was often so much overkill.
Right. I was going to say, because he was like really going on.
Yeah. I mean, decapitation and mutilation. It was the act of the knife penetrating the person and the knowledge that he had this power over the woman. That's what got him off. So that's a sexual thrill killer.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Jurors were shown graphic crime scene images and taken to each of the known crime scenes in LA to show how close Gargiulo lived to his victims. For me, that would do it. Oh, he lived right there. Oh, and she got killed. And then he lived there and then she got killed. Like that's pretty strong.
I imagine you like on that jury, Kate's pointing at the apartment and then pointing there and she goes, guilty.
On all counts. There are pictures of people looking at the crime scene when the vans took them all out there. And it's hard to deny that.
I would love just everyone standing around nodding.
Be like, yeah.
This tracks.
This tracks. Survivor Michelle Murphy was the first witness the prosecution called to the stand. They presented a very strong case.
I'd say.
And the prosecution was allowed to present previous bad acts, i.e., the murder of Trisha Piccaccio, to prove motive and intent. Not only that, but the Piccaccios got to give victim impact statements in the LA trial.
Whoa.
Yes. The jury wasn't deciding if he was guilty of that murder. They were just allowed to hear it as it related to the other cases.
That's crazy. Like hearing about that before it's even been tried.
I love that. I love that they got to come in. Ashton Kutcher also testified for the prosecution, stating everything I mentioned in part 1, that he was running late for his date with Ashley. He called at 8:24 p.m. to let her know. Then he called again later, but she didn't answer. How he showed up, the lights were on. He tried the doorknob. It was locked. He looked in a side window and saw what he thought were wine stains on the floor, which didn't seem entirely unusual to him. She had a lot of parties, and he assumed she just got tired of waiting for him, so he left. We'll come back to this.
I bet. You've been teasing me since
I
day
know.
one.
I know, just wait. The defense brought the psychologist I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, Dr. Deanne Castellano. She diagnosed Gargiulo with dissociative identity disorder, previously known as multiple personality disorder.
Oh, really?
I watched hours of this trial, and I watched this woman's entire testimony multiple times.
Okay.
It is very hard to take her seriously.
Really? Why?
The defense team reportedly paid her $300,000 to be a witness for their case. Not money well spent. She hurts them more than she helps them.
For the defense.
For the defense.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah. For one thing, when she traveled to Chicago to interview Gargiulo's family members, she barely took any notes. And one of those interviews took place in a restaurant, a brewery in Burbank. Although she claims they were in a private dining room. But how are you conducting an interview that you know will be used in a murder trial in a restaurant? Private dining room or not, there are still servers coming around, taking your order, refilling your drinks. There are other people around.
Yeah.
Not only that, she did not record any of these interviews. She says that's not her practice, like on an audio recorder. Her reasoning being that if she recorded them, then people wouldn't be honest with her. But they've already agreed to talk with her. And she is taking notes. They're half-assed notes, as we'll go on to find out. But they can clearly see she is writing things down during the interview. Wouldn't it be easier to just say, hey, rather than me writing all this down, do you mind if I just record on my phone?
Yeah.
She didn't do that.
Ugh.
Her notes from these interviews are far from detailed. She'll literally write one word like restraining, but she doesn't elaborate on what that is in reference to. She claims she doesn't need to because her notes are just for her. She says this over and over. My notes are for me. My notes are for me. She claims she can remember what people said, so she doesn't need to write it down. The interviews conducted with the Gargiulo family members took place in 2017. The trial isn't until 2019. She can remember everything that was said from 2 years prior and who said it. This is a professional. She's a licensed psychologist.
That's a little sus.
The biggest problem for her and for the defense is that all that child abuse I mentioned at the beginning, the being hogtied, locked in a closet without food or water, the being tied to a tree and forced to watch animals get blown up, being tied to a chair and forced to watch torture porn, none of that is in her notes.
Are you serious?
Not a single word. There is no documentation of it whatsoever. But what is in her notes from the interviews with the family is Gargiulo throwing his father through a window, attacking his sister, beating up his little brother. So there is documentation of incidents where Gargiulo is the aggressor, but nothing about all the stuff allegedly done to him.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That fucked them over.
Oh, yeah. I think the defense was really regretting their decision with having her on the stand. The prosecutor, Dan Aikman, he is so good. He asks her, do you think it's important for you to keep notes so that others can review your work? And she says, no.
Oh, nope.
And she didn't even bring some of her notes with her to the trial. He references something that she wrote down in one of the interviews, and she says, "Oh, I don't know. I don't have my notes with me."
Do you think that she did that on purpose?
What are you asking? That she didn't bring her notes on purpose, or that she didn't write things down on purpose?
I mean, I know the defense paid her $300,000 for her testimony, but at the same time, what am I trying to say? What if she was lying because she didn't want to defend him? I know she's testifying for the defense, but if she knows this guy's guilty, I'm trying to say maybe she fucked it up on purpose.
But if she knows that he's guilty, wouldn't she have written all of the stuff about the child abuse down to prove that maybe that is a reason that led him to become what he became?
I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. It's probably not true.
I just think she's very bad at her job, and I don't believe a word out of her mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, so the prosecutor asks her about something that she's written in her notes, because he has her notes.
Oh, great.
And he's like, so about XYZ, and she goes, oh, I don't know. I don't have my notes with me. Lady, you're a witness in a murder trial. Multiple people are dead, and you didn't think to bring your notes?
Wild.
The prosecutor had to show her his copy of her notes.
Yeah.
And he asks her, are these your notes? And she says, it's my handwriting. And then she's like, oh, wait, I do have those. Sorry. She is so unprepared and so unprofessional. When the defense attorney, Daniel Nardoni, questions her, she falls apart even more, and she's their witness. The attorney asks her if, during her interviews with Michael Gargiulo, if he disclosed to her anything about being abused as a child, yes or no. And she answers, well, he had dreams. The judge, Judge Larry Fiedler, interrupts and says, first of all, that's not responsive. Did he ever tell you he was abused? That's the question. She answers, he told me he had dreams. Judge Fiedler says, no, not about dreams. The question is, and it's at this moment, she rolls her eyes at the judge. And this is a grown-ass woman. Like, she's probably at that time maybe 60. She said she'd been practicing for 40 years. So I'm going to say she's around the 60s.
God. I need to see this.
You look it up. You have to.
I need to see this.
She is so cringe to watch. So
she had dreams.
So she rolls her eyes at the judge and he says, ma'am, don't look exasperated with me. I'm asking you quite simply, did he tell you not about dreams? Did he tell you that he was burned as a child, like referencing the hands over the stove.
Sure.
And she says, no. She doesn't know how to give a yes or no answer unless she is forced to.
That's infuriating.
The defense attorney, the one who paid her to be his witness, asks her, yes or no, Michael Gargiulo had a bad childhood. And she gives this weird chuckle and goes, well, and he cuts her off and says, answer my question, yes or no. The defense attorney, the one who hired her.
Yeah.
You can literally see the regret in his face for putting her up there. She later tried to claim that those dreams he had, what Gargiulo himself described as night terrors, were actually the incidents of abuse that he just thought were dreams, like that was his brain's way of protecting himself. But he never, in the more than 300 hours of interviews she had with Gargiulo, he never once mentioned any kind of child abuse towards himself. Nothing about being locked up in a closet. Nothing about watching animals get blown up. Nothing about his mom and brother holding his hands over a lit stove. Nothing. Don't you think that if he's trying to get out of the most serious charges, the most serious sentencing, he would pull out everything he possibly could?
100%.
She tried telling Gargiulo in her interviews with him, no, you were being abused and that's how you dealt with it. You dealt with it by having these dreams. It was your brain protecting you.
Weird. Okay.
The reason child abuse even became a thought in Dr. Castellano's mind was because she saw in his medical records where he was admitted to the hospital at age 10 in a state of delirium, and in his school records where he was put in special ed for behavioral issues. She inferred from that, oh, I bet he's the victim of abuse. And that's when she decided to go to Chicago and interview his family, where they supposedly admitted inflicting all this horrible abuse on him, even though she didn't bother to write any of that down.
That's so wild.
The prosecutor, Dan Aikman, asks her, have you had a chance to review all of your notes in this case? And she answers, no. Woman, you had one job here. It's not like she didn't know she was going to be called to testify. She's been working with the defense team for years. They paid her $300,000. It's not like they called her up the morning of the trial and were like, hey, can you come down here? And she's like, let me throw on a pantsuit and I'm on my way. She knew what she was getting into. She didn't review all her notes. 2 telltale signs that someone is bullshitting you. They get defensive and or they get combative. And she does both on the stand.
Wow.
The strangest part of it all is that after the family members supposedly told her about all this abuse, she went back and interviewed Gargiulo and retold those stories of abuse, but in the first person as though she was Gargiulo. This gets so weird. So she says things to him like, Kenny locked me in a closet every day. The prosecutor tries to get her to clarify. So he asks, Gargiulo told you Kenny locked him in a closet every day? And she says, no, that was me saying that. I said Kenny locked me in a closet every day. I was just trying to trigger something in his memory. I was relaying what his family told me to try to get him to remember. Which I feel like you're probably not supposed to do that. Feels like you're trying to put ideas into his head. The prosecutor just lets her keep on talking. He does a very good job of letting her discredit herself. And eventually, she says that Gargiulo has no memory of anything that happened to him prior to turning 18 and moving out of his dad's house. She says his memories don't start until after he was 18. Well, we know that's not true because he was 17 when he killed Trisha.
Yeah.
And he told T. O'Leary and Anthony DiLorenzo all about that.
Uh-huh.
And he remembered he had night terrors as a kid.
Yeah.
And when Dr. Castellano told Gargiulo in one of their meetings that he had dissociative personality disorder, because the defense was trying to show that he wasn't sane when he attacked Michelle Murphy. That's what they're going to go with. Gargiulo insisted, I don't have any mental disorder. I'm perfectly sane.
So the abuse that Gargiulo suffered when he was a kid was relayed to the doctor by the family, right?
Let's say the abuse he allegedly suffered as a kid.
Allegedly.
Was allegedly told to Dr. Castellano by family members.
Oh, okay.
But it's hard to believe anything this woman says.
So we don't even know if that stuff is true.
Correct. All that's documented in her notes are acts that Gargiulo perpetrated.
Got
things
it.
that he did.
Got it. Not things that were done to him.
Right. So were they even done to him?
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm getting at.
Got it.
So yeah, Gargiulo doesn't do himself any favors. He could have just agreed with her diagnosis and gone for an insanity defense, but he was adamant he did not have what she was diagnosing him with. He even wanted to take the stand in his trial, because they always do.
Oh, they love to talk.
And his attorneys were like, why don't you sit this one out, buddy?
Shut up. Oh my God.
The defense tried to get Gargiulo's father and siblings. His mother had already passed away at this point.
Okay.
They tried to get them to come out to California and testify on Gargiulo's behalf, and they all refused.
Sure.
However, there was one family member who took the stand. Gargiulo's then 16-year-old son, Andrew.
Wow.
This was the child he had with Velma Carrillo.
Yep.
Andrew didn't have much memory of his father. He was 5 when he was arrested. Velma told him his dad was working out of the country. It wasn't until he was 10 that Andrew learned his dad was in prison.
Ah.
Andrew told the court, "I don't see a psychopath. I don't see a murderer. All I see is my father."
Ah.
Which your heart just breaks for him.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Not only did Gargiulo upend the lives of his victims' families, their friends, parents, siblings, children in Maria's case, but he fucked up his own kids' lives.
Yeah.
The defense tried to argue that based on what Ashton Kutcher said about the time of the phone call, Ashley's real killer was Mark Durbin. He was the property manager who had come over that night.
Right.
Mark Durbin testified that he was still in Ashley's house when the call from Ashton came in. And based on the time that neighbor was walking his dog and heard the 2 screams come from her house, the defense said it's because Mark Durbin was angry and jealous that Ashley was planning on going out with Ashton that night. And that's why Mark Durbin killed her.
Okay.
The defense also said Irving Bruno killed Maria. He had been physically violent toward her in the past and was the last known person to see her alive. They couldn't really blame the attack on Michelle Murphy on anyone other than Gargiulo because of the DNA evidence.
Yeah.
But they claimed, based on the dissociative identity disorder, that attack occurred because he entered a fugue state, didn't know where he was or what he was doing. Nice try, but he stalked her and plotted that attack just like all the others.
Correct.
After a 3-month-long trial, the defense failed to prove Gargiulo had dissociative personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder. The jury found him guilty of attempted murder of Michelle Murphy, guilty of first-degree murder in the deaths of Ashley Ellerin and Maria Bruno, with the special circumstances of multiple murders and murder by means of lying in wait, which means it can be a death penalty case. Jurors were given the option of recommending the death penalty or life in prison without parole, and they recommended death penalty.
Wow.
It was almost 2 years before the sentencing phase took place, mainly because of COVID. But finally, on July 16th, 2021, Judge Fidler sentenced Gargiulo to death.
Whoa.
Stating, quote, "Everywhere that Mr. Gargiulo went, death and destruction followed him."
I'd say.
Now, California has a moratorium on the death penalty. It was instituted in 2019 by Governor Gavin Newsom. So although a person can still be sentenced to death, no executions have actually taken place in years.
Okay.
In September of 2024, Gargiulo was extradited to Illinois.
24?
Mm-hmm.
That's recent.
Yeah. He hobbled into the courthouse in Skokie, wearing sunglasses and walking with a cane, stating he'd had 2 brain hemorrhages and a stroke. He remains in Illinois, where he awaits trial for the murder of Trisha Pacaccio. It has been 33 years since she was killed.
Oh my God. Is that coming up soon?
No date has been set.
No. And he's here.
He's here.
He's in Skokie?
If they haven't moved him, then yeah, he's in Skokie. Illinois does not have the death penalty. It was abolished here in 2011. So the most he could get here is life without parole. He is at least off the streets.
Good.
So there's that. So about Ashton Kutcher.
Finally. I've been waiting.
I know.
Weeks.
What he told police he saw when he went to pick up Ashley and what he testified to in court might not have been the whole truth. And this information came to light during, of all things, Danny Masterson's trial.
Oh, really?
Danny Masterson was Ashton's co-star in that 70s show and was later convicted of being a serial rapist. He's currently serving 30 to life in California. But prior to his sentencing, several people, including Ashton Kutcher and his wife Mila Kunis, wrote character letters in an effort to sway the judge to grant leniency when sentencing Masterson. In his letter, Kutcher described what an outstanding role model and amazing friend and mentor Danny is. Kutcher wrote, quote, "He's taught me about being direct and confronting issues in life and relationships head on, resolving them and moving forward." And he credited Danny with keeping him off drugs because of Danny's firm stance against substance abuse. Kutcher wrote this after Danny Masterson was convicted of drugging and violently raping multiple women.
Yeah.
Not to mention, at the time Kutcher wrote this, he was the founder and board chairman of an anti-child sex abuse charity. This is a man, Kutcher, who at 25 years old publicly stated he was waiting for 15-year-old Hillary Duff to turn 18 and that he was waiting for the Olsen twins to turn 18. Didn't know Mary-Kate and Ashley were going to come up twice in this episode, but here we are. And there's even more stuff with him about Mila Kunis. She was a child when she started on that 70s show, and Kutcher was an adult. And the things both he and Danny Masterson said about her when she was just 14 years old, about her looks, and Danny daring Ashton to stick his tongue down Mila's throat, disgusting, another story for another time. So when the character letters were made public, Chrissy Bixler, who was Jane Doe number 3 in the Masterson case, it's okay to name her, she's gone public.
Okay.
She had a few things to say. Chrissy dated Danny Masterson for several years, beginning in 1996. They were together for like 6 or 7 years. When she read what Ashton Kutcher wrote about Danny, she responded with the following on her social media accounts. Quote, "Dear Ashton, I know the secrets your role model keeps for you, ones that would end you. Did you forget I was there? You were on speakerphone that night you called Danny on February 21st, 2001. I heard everything. I heard the plan. In my opinion, you're just as sick as your, quote, mentor." February 21st, 2001 is the night Ashley Ellerin was murdered. Now, Danny Masterson is a known Scientologist. A man by the name of Aaron Smith Levin hosts a YouTube channel called Growing Up in Scientology. Aaron was in Scientology, he got out, now he goes on YouTube to expose everything about it. He's made some videos on this. I'm linking a couple of them in the show notes. His information comes from Chrissy and other Scientologists that he knew that were around Masterson, Chrissy, and others in their circle back in the early 2000s. Based on information he received from Chrissy, Aaron says that when Ashton went to pick Ashley up for their date the night of the Grammys, he didn't just look through the window. He went inside the house and saw Ashley's mutilated body lying outside the bathroom. And if Michael Gargiulo made a quick escape after killing her, it would make sense that he wouldn't lock the door behind him on his way out, which would allow Ashton access into the house. Irving Bruno was also able to get inside Maria's apartment, making me think her door was unlocked, but I did read in a transcript from Once Upon a Crime in Hollywood that Irving actually climbed through the kitchen window because he saw it was open. So I'm not 100% sure if her door was unlocked. I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
After Ashton allegedly saw Ashley's body, who, keep in mind, she was a friend of his. They'd hung out before, and this was to be their first date. After finding her, he ran out and sat in his car and called, not the police, that would be crazy. He called his team, his manager or agent, whatever. He was like, "Hey, I'm freaking out. I was supposed to go on a date with this girl. She's dead. There's blood everywhere. I was in there, so now my DNA is in there. This is going to be really bad for my career. What do I do?" His team, allegedly, told him, "You don't want to be the one to discover the body. That's all people remember you for. Your career's just getting started. Don't call the police. Go to the party like you had initially planned. Let someone else make the discovery." Ashton then called Danny Masterson, who, allegedly, helped calm him down, and they worked out the story that he would tell. This was on speakerphone, so Chrissy heard all of this.
Wow.
We don't have a transcript of the call, But allegedly, this is where he worked out his story about the door being locked. He makes it a very big point that the door was locked. I tried the doorknob and the door was locked. This is where he worked out about seeing what he thought was red wine, assuming Ashley had gotten tired of waiting for him and left. He did go to the party that night. Then the next day, after it was reported Ashley was found dead, that's when Ashton went to the police. And then the story became, oh, poor Ashton. He went to pick up his date for a party and it was too late. She was already dead. In Touch Weekly eventually ran a story titled Ashton's Tragic Night. I'm sorry, Ashton's Tragic Night? How about the murder victim?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was Ashley's tragic night.
I would say.
According to Aaron Smith-Levin of Growing Up in Scientology, the police knew that Ashton had lied because the bloodstains on the floor, which Ashton said he thought were wine, couldn't be seen from the window Ashton said he looked through.
Wow.
Those stains, which we know were not wine, but blood, could only be seen if you went inside the house.
Yeah.
But they had to go with his story because if it came to light that Ashton lied, then it would discredit him and their case starts to fall apart because he was a star witness for the prosecution. So that makes the fact that they didn't find any DNA at the scene plausible for me. They only found Ashley's DNA, if you remember.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't find the roommates or Mark Durbin's or Ashton Kutcher's or even Gargiulo's. Because they're either going to find all their DNA, which would include Ashton's, but they can't include Ashton because he lied and they need him as a witness. So they have to say, we found no one's DNA. Had Ashton Kutcher just called the cops right away rather than his team and Danny Masterson, cops would have had a jump on the case and maybe, just maybe, they could have caught the guy sooner.
Yeah.
There are also LAPD cops with ties to Scientology. That's just fact.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And based on what Aaron says, it sounds like the cops confirmed that, yes, they knew Ashton lied. Again, I'm linking Aaron's videos. We obviously can't go into all of it here. We'd be here all day. And I don't have access to, what Chrissy told certain people.
Sure.
But Aaron even says on his channel, hey, if I'm wrong, then Ashton should sue me. He says, I hope Ashton Kutcher does sue me because then everything would be forced to come to light. Ashton has not sued him and the videos are still up.
Wow.
So I do think that says something. We will give an update once the trial for Trisha's murder is underway. Like I said, no date has been set. I wouldn't be surprised if Gargiulo spends the next 10 years hiring new attorneys. But thank you for listening to all 4 parts and learning that Ashley Ellerin was studying to be a fashion designer. She was vivacious and fun and made friends with everyone. And Trisha Boccaccio was incredibly smart and got into Purdue for engineering, which is super hard to do, and was universally loved by everyone in her community. Maria Bruno was a mom of 4 who was brave enough to leave an abusive husband and start her life over as an independent woman. And Michelle Murphy was athletic and held a top position in the entertainment industry, and her bravery helped bring this fucker down.
Boom.
Don't do murder, but do leave comments on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify at
Horrorwood Podcast.
Or you can leave us an email at
horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com.
And while you're at it, you can let us know if you've been scratched by a demon, like I have, at that same email address. And be like John and Lillian and subscribe
on Patreon, Apple, and YouTube.
All the places. Thank you so much. If you're still here, love you so much.
We did it.
We did it. We made it. This is my longest multi-parter ever.
I know.
I've never done a 4-parter.
Okay.
I'm so glad to be done.
Good job.
Until we do the update.
Right.